A man attacks a girl in the forest, and her attempts to resist only fuel his aggression. During the struggle, she scratches his face, leaving a bloodied mark. In his rage, he forces her to the ground. Not far away, one of their companions hears the commotion and rushes over to stop him. The girl takes the opportunity to flee into the woods, but the man, now consumed with rage, has no intention of letting her go. So the group chases after her together, and the terrified girl runs for her life. Soon, she reaches the edge of a cliff. Suddenly, one of the companions grabs her from behind. In a panic, the girl bites down hard. The man who assaulted her, named Joshua, responds with a punch and knocks her off the cliff. The girl's best friend, Kelly, hears the noise and rushes out to check. The group quickly descends the slope to reach the girl. When they get there, they find her barely clinging to life. Just as Reynolds is about to call the police, Joshua hurls him aside. He warns the other three, if anyone calls the cops, they'll all end up in jail. To keep the incident quiet, Joshua shockingly picks up a rock and smashes it down on the girl's head. Then he hands the rock to the others, telling them to each take a turn, so that they all become accomplices. Afterward, they throw the girl's body off the cliff, unaware that their entire act has been captured on camera by Kelly. Horrified by what she's witnessed, Kelly accidentally lets out a gasp.
Who's that? It's Kelly. The camera.
Realizing they've been exposed, Joshua and his companions immediately give chase. As they're about to catch her, Kelly hides behind a boulder and narrowly avoids being seen. Joshua suggests they split up and find her no matter what. It's crucial to retrieve the camera. As Kelly runs back, she's caught by Reynolds, who is waiting nearby. Fortunately, he's a good person. Not only does he pretend not to see her, he lets her go. Kelly rushes back to the cabin, grabs her backpack, and runs out. Soon, dawn breaks, and without the cover of darkness, the others quickly spot her. With no escape route, Kelly is forced to climb the cliff with her bare hands. Unexpectedly, Taylor climbs after her. Just as he's about to grab her leg, Kelly kicks him down. He falls hard, breaking his leg bone. The three others have no choice but to take him back for treatment. Joshua gives him a handful of painkillers and a bottle of liquor, then told him that if they didn't return within 24 hours, he should call the police. With that, he heads down to the foot of the mountain with his climbing gear. Upon arrival, Nathan finds Kelly's phone, making Joshua realize most of her gear had fallen off. Even if she hadn't died from the fall, she would likely freeze to death up there. Joshua then spots a shortcut halfway up the mountain that leads directly to the summit. If he can climb up to that point, he'll get there faster and wait for her at the top. He then says he needs to go back to get his gloves and tells the others to wait. But after a long time, Joshua still hasn't returned. So Nathan heads back to the cabin to find him. Just as Nathan reaches the door, he sees Joshua coming out looking flustered. Before Nathan can go inside to check, Joshua urges him to hurry up and leave without giving him any explanation. Meanwhile, Kelly is still struggling to climb upward. Suddenly, a venomous snake appears on the rock face. Kelly is so terrified that she freezes, trembling, unable to move. All she can do is pray the snake doesn't bite her. Fortunately, the snake isn't interested in her. After it slithers away, Kelly cautiously continues climbing. At the same time, the three below also begin ascending using their climbing gear. While resting halfway up the cliff, Kelly accidentally drops her water bottle. Seeing this, Joshua takes a sip of water and mocks.
Oh, that is so good!
Kelly ignores his taunt because she knows she has to climb as fast as possible. If night falls, she'll either die of thirst or freeze to death. Soon, she encounters a major problem. There are no more footholds above her. Her only chance is to grab onto a rope left behind by someone else, but it's too far to reach. She has no choice but to retreat to her previous position. Then she comes up with an idea. She bites open her backpack, pulls out a piece of wire, bends one end into a hook, and carefully moves back into position. Using the wire, she successfully hooks the rope. With a firm hold, she leaps and manages to cross the smooth rock face. At that moment, she spots a tent left behind by someone on a ledge above. Just beyond it is a protruding rock, perfect as a foothold. Meanwhile, Joshua and the others have already reached the top of the cliff using the shortcut, but due to the large overhang, they couldn't see the cliff face below. Knowing Kelly was somewhere down there, Joshua shouted to her, telling her to hand over the camera and assuring her they wouldn't hurt her. He then instructs his companions to lower a rope, trying to get Kelly to tie the camera to it. When they sense movement on the rope and pull it up, they realize she hasn't tied anything to it. Furious, Joshua is so angry he nearly jumps down himself. Deciding to wait her out, they set up camp there. As night falls, the freezing temperature becomes a threat. Kelly, on the other hand, fixes a carabiner above her head, then connects it to the tent with a rope. Once the tent is set up, she crawls inside and goes to sleep. But the three above aren't idle. They hammer steel spikes into the rock, tie one end of a rope to the spikes and the other to a backpack. then hurl the backpack down. The violent impact startles Kelly awake. Repeated strikes cause her to fall out of the tent, but she grabs hold just in time to stop herself from falling. Kelly grabs the backpack. The three above, feeling resistance on the rope, assume it's stuck. Joshua leans over to check and sees Kelly swinging from the backpack. He immediately pulls out a knife and cuts the rope. In the nick of time, Kelly catches the rock wall, preventing a fall. After checking the tent for damage, she climbs back in and goes to sleep again. But not long after, Kelly was startled awake by a noise. Before she could figure out what was happening, a knife stabbed into the tent. It turned out Joshua had sent Nathan to ambush her. Nathan yanked Kelly out of the tent and threatened her to hand over the necklace. To avoid being thrown off the cliff, Kelly told him the camera was in her backpack. While Nathan was searching for it, Kelly summoned all her strength and stabbed him hard. In pain, Nathan lost his footing and pulled Kelly down with him. Now both of them were hanging midair by the rope. Kelly took the opportunity to stab him again. Hearing Nathan scream, the two men at the top started pulling the rope up. As soon as they did, Joshua grabbed Kelly by the hair and tried to haul her up. In a panic, Kelly cut her own hair with a knife. As she fell, she managed to grab onto the tent, though it was at its limit. Just as she was about to climb back into the tent, it suddenly collapsed, leaving her with no shelter at all. She could only curl up on the rocky ledge, shivering in the cold. That night, Nathan quietly told Reynolds that it had been over 24 hours, and if the people back at the cabin had contacted the police, they should have already arrived. He said he suspected that when Joshua went back for his gloves, he had killed Taylor. He added that if they kept stalling, Joshua would definitely end up killing both of them too, and that they needed to find a way to call for help. Nathan suddenly remembered that Joshua's watch had a one-touch SOS function. So Reynolds snuck over to Joshua, who appeared to be asleep. But just as he was about to act, Joshua grabbed him. He had been awake the whole time, eavesdropping on their conversation. He warned them both to behave and stop scheming. They eventually drifted off to sleep. Not long after, Nathan got up to relieve himself near the cliff. Suddenly, Joshua appeared behind him and smashed him on the head with a hammer. Then threw Nathan's gear off the cliff. At dawn, Reynolds woke and asked where Nathan was. Joshua lied, claiming that Nathan had gone down the mountain to call for help. He added that they needed to resolve the situation before the police arrived. Reynolds then volunteered to go down and retrieve the camera from Kelly, knowing that if Joshua went, he'd just kill her. Joshua handed him the hammer and let him go. Reynolds first handed Kelly a can of food as a peace offering and promised to let her go if she handed over the camera. Kelly, knowing Joshua would never let her live, told him about how Nathan was pushed off the cliff. Reynolds suddenly realized that Joshua planned to kill everyone. The two quickly came up with a plan. Kelly handed over the camera, then screamed to create the illusion that she'd fallen. When Joshua checked the camera, he realized there was no memory card inside. Reynolds immediately pulled out his phone and tried to call Nathan to confirm Kelly's story. But when the phone began to ring from Joshua's pocket, he realized the truth. Nathan was dead. Reynolds grabbed the hammer and prepared to fight to the death. Joshua charged at him, and the two began to fight. But Reynolds was no match. He was quickly disarmed and beaten. Joshua tied him up and poured gasoline over him. With the strike of a match, Reynolds was set ablaze and kicked off the cliff, his burning body suspended in front of Kelly's horrified eyes. Terrified and powerless, Kelly could only watch the gruesome scene. Then she spotted the dagger that had fallen earlier on the cliff wall. Knowing she wouldn't stand a chance if Joshua came down, she gathered her courage and retrieved the dagger. Right then, Joshua descended the cliff and demanded the memory card. When Kelly refused, he swung toward her. In that critical moment, Kelly slammed her knee into his groin and slashed the rope with the dagger. She then gave him a push, leaving him dangling on the edge. Realizing he was truly in danger, Joshua began to beg.
Help me! Help me!
But Kelly showed no mercy. She stomped on his hand until he could no longer hold on and finally fell. With Joshua finally dead, Kelly slumped on the rocky ledge, relieved and exhausted. When morning came, she mustered the last of her strength and climbed to the mountain peak, surviving through sheer willpower. The ledge turned out to be a surprisingly watchable film. While I usually find movies about mountain climbing a bit dull, this one kept me awake, even when I was ready to doze off. The plot may be simple and the dialogue a bit off at times, but the direction keeps things moving just enough to hold your attention. It's not a masterpiece by any means, but for a one-time watch, it delivers a decent dose of tension and entertainment.